Yesterday in section 6.3, we talked about solving proportions using equivalent ratios or using algebra. Now, those are two great ways, but sometimes it's not the easiest way to solve a proportion. So today we're going to be in section 6.3 talking about solving proportions using cross products. So, under the objective there, it shows you what the cross products property says. It sets up this proportion, A over B equals C over D, where B equals 0 and D equals 0. That's just kind of saying that if B is 0, then that whole left side of the proportion is going to be undefined, so it's not going to work. So it's just kind of ruling out that possibility at the beginning. If A over B equals C over D, then it means you can multiply AD, and it'll be equal to AC. And if we zoom in here, what's actually happening, AB, we get AD, when we multiply up and across. And we set that equal to BC. Once again, multiplying up and across. So you can set the cross products equal to each other, and we can either solve a proportion, or in this first section, we're actually going to be able to tell if the ratios form a proportion using the cross products. So I have 3 examples in this first section for you. So we're going to look at these ratios, and we're going to decide whether it forms a proportion or not. So, for the first one, let's look at 6 over 14 and 3 over 7. So I'm checking. If these ratios form a proportion, it means they should be equal, but we're not sure, so we're going to check. If they're equal, it means their cross products are equal. So I should be able to take 7 times 6, which is 42. If it's equal to 14 times 3, which is also 42, it forms a proportion. So we can say yes, 6 over 14 and 3 over 7 do form a proportion. Okay, let's look at 14 over 35 and 8 over 20. Okay, so we're checking, are these equal ratios? If they're equal ratios, then I should be able to multiply up and across. 20 times 14 gives me 280. 35 times 8, if I multiply that off over to the side, I also get 280. Since the cross products are equal, these ratios do form a proportion. Okay, I want you guys to check this last one. I want you guys to decide if 6 over 11 and 9 over 16 form a proportion. When you find your cross products, you should find that they are not equal. 16 times 6 gives me 96, and 9 times 11 gives me 99. Since the cross products are not equal, 6 over 11 and 9 over 16 do not form a proportion. Okay, so now using this cross products idea, we can actually solve proportions. So I'm going to have 6 examples for you. So split your paper into 6 boxes. Okay, for the first one, let's look at 18 over 42 equals 3 over t. Now yesterday we talked about looking at an easy way to get from one side to the next, and we could solve proportions that way. It would. So if you want, you can go ahead and be thinking along those lines, but we want to get into the habit of using these cross products because it's going to be very helpful, because sometimes there's not going to be an easy way to get from one side to the next. So let's go ahead and get a number in mind. So using the idea we talked about yesterday, 18 to 3, I know that I can divide by 6, so I should be able to do the same thing in my denominator. 42 divided by 6 gives me 7, so I'm thinking t equals 7. So let's make sure this cross products theory actually works. Okay, so if I take 42 times 3, I'm going to get 126. And that should be equal to 18t. Okay, and if I divide 18 by 126 divided by 18, let's just try 7 times, and it does go in evenly. So whenever we divide 126 by 18, we still get t equals 7. So same thing either way. Okay, well, let's look at one where we're not going to be able to get from one side to the next very easily. If I have 16 over p equals 10 over 45. Now, if you try to go from one side to the next, you're not going to find an easy way to get from 16 to 10. So we're going to have to use the cross products method. Now I'll tell you guys one way that's going to make your life a little bit easier. We're going to have to multiply 45 times 16. It would be kind of nice if I didn't have to do that, right? Or if I could at least make it a little easier. If you look at one of your fractions and you can reduce it, do it. So 10 over 45, okay, well I know I can divide out of 5 for both of those numbers. So instead of 10 over 45, I'm going to change that ratio to 2 over 9. Now I have 16 over p equals 2 over 9. Still going to have to multiply 16 by 9, but it's a little bit easier number to work with. So first I'm going to take 16 times 9, and I get 144. And I'm going to set it equal to my other cross product, which is 2p. And when I divide both sides by 2, I get p equals 72. Okay, let's do one more together, and then I'll give you one that you can work out on your own. Let's look at 9 over b equals 1 5/10 over 7. Okay, well this time working with a decimal, so I really don't know an easy way to get from one side to the next. So we're going to have to go ahead and use our cross products. I have 1.5 over 7, can't reduce that. So let's go ahead and find our cross products. 7 times 9 gives me 63. B times 1.5 gives me 1.5b. Remember, we're going to set those equal to each other. If I want to solve for b, I'm going to divide both sides by 1 5/10. So I need to take 63 divided by 1 5/10. Okay, whenever we're dividing decimals, just a quick reminder, we need to move our decimal over. And if I move it over one place on the outside, I've got to move it over one place on the inside. Kick that decimal on up, and I'm ready to start dividing. Now I know 15 will go into 63 4 times. 15 times 4 gives me 60. And 15 will go into 32 times. So we end up with b equals 42. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one to try out on your own. I want you to try 4/10 over 6 equals 18 over z. So go ahead and pause the video and work this one out on your own. And you should have got 270. If you didn't, I have all my work there, so kind of compare your work to my work to see maybe where you went wrong. Okay, let's do another one where you guys try it on your own. This one, let's look at 24 over 36 equals 2 over x. Now remember what I said in that second example about maybe looking and seeing if you can simplify any of your ratios down before you start doing your cross products. Okay, whether you simplified that first ratio down or not, you should have ended up with x equals 3. Okay, and last one here. Let's look at another decimal one. So I want you guys to try this one. 1.6 over b equals 8 over 25. So pause the video and try to solve this one on your own. And you should have ended up with b equals 5. So once again, if you didn't quite get that, all my work is shown there. So please check over, make sure you figure out what you did incorrectly.